What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the Elite Amateur Fight League, the nation's only team versus team, state versus state, the best in the world. MMA competition, the best of the best from sea to shining sea, competing against each other every year for the right to be called national champions. I'm Jim Gieshaber, play-by-play voice of the EAFL from day one, and I'm going to do this right. So instead of calling you Mike Cimm and taking the easy way out like everybody does with me and calls me Grease, I'm going to go for it, Mike Cimm. He's the Director of Regulations and Government Affairs. No, he's not CIA, although maybe. We don't know for sure. They never let the cat out of the bag. I mean, look, De Niro was a florist in Meet the Fockers, right? But he also works with mixed martial arts consultants out of Illinois. They're the only sanctioning body for full contact amateur sports in that gorgeous state of Illinois. And he joins me now right here on the Elite Amateur Fight League platform. And Mike, it's good to see you as always, man. And
always, buddy.
For a switch, I don't hear the little guys running around. No twin brother this time. No little guys running around yet. We still have time.
Yeah. I'll give it a minute. He's over here chasing the doggy somewhere. So.
I love it, man. I love it. Yours are 5 and 7, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you explain coronavirus to them?
I don't know that you do. I mean, they both know like coronavirus and it's what's preventing them from going out and being able to do things. But tell them it's like the flu, right? That's, I guess, the easiest way to explain it to them.
Hey, you're always telling them to wash their hands 1,000 times a day anyway at that age.
Literally, and the hardest part, like the good thing, like we live like 2 blocks from a park. There's Isaac right there. Isaac, hey, go. We're like 2 blocks from a playground, and we just walk in our neighborhood park, caution tape from the cops on it. Dad, why can't we go to the playground? Like, how do you explain that to a little kid? Like, oh, there's a flu going around, So, again, a whole lot of skepticism on their part, as there should be. But it's just, I guess, pretty much what we're all going through right now because, who do you trust?
No, I'm in the hotbed of Arizona, man. #1 in the world is what they're saying now. And, we didn't have much of it when the shutdown was going on. And we were kind of like, yeah, the heat kills it. No, we're not going to get it out here. And all of a sudden, wham, everything opens up. All the idiots are on parade. They're like literally all over the pool parties and the bars and sneezing and coughing and everything all over one another and just being completely reckless, which, whatever you believe, the recklessness is not cool. But I always say this to transition into the sport we love, man. There's no place cleaner than an MMA gym. And even some of the gyms out here had some cases, but usually with staph infections, with MRSA, with things like that, MMA gyms are the cleanest places. And what the UFC's doing right now is as well as you can possibly do it, but people are still going to get it in their daily lives. And then when you're training with someone or competing against someone, it's virtually impossible not to get it in this sport, and if they're positive. So it's going to be a rough go for all of us for a while, it looks like.
This whole with Masvidal, right, and coming up this next one, like, has his test come back yet? I don't know. Like the whole thing. So
far, he's negative, but his whole team's positive. Mike Brown, like Dean Thomas, even is positive. Like a lot of the ATT guys have been coming back positive. So Jorge doesn't have his head coach in his corner.
A corner. That's crazy, So I mean, like all of that stuff, How do you have shows, right? If guys can't have their corners or guys, like what are these guys supposed to literally isolate? Jesse sent out the text earlier today, right? Or yesterday, whatever it was. All those teams lined up and all those gyms in all those states are closed. Yet we have teams lined up, So people are training. People are getting out there. They're training, and recently here in Illinois, we just opened up. I teach jiu-jitsu. I started teaching classes a couple weeks ago. Maybe 80% of the guys came back, so there's definitely a fall off of some people that don't believe it, right?
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion, how the people don't get sick from whatever, right? I know people who have been exposed to it and have gotten over it. I social distance, right? And we limit who we hang out with and stuff like that. And that's about all you can do. But at the end of the day, like when it comes to us and having shows, like and getting back to normal life, how do you do that without an audience? TV, I guess, is the only way that
the only way to do it. That's the UFC's got that ESPN deal they have to fulfill, and they're doing whatever they can to do that. And the bright side for them is they've been the only game in town literally for so long, so their fan base has just ballooned, and it's been good for all of us in the sport with the trickle down. But none of us can do anything about it. Bellator is finally coming back July 24th. So let's talk about some of the challenges for us, Mike, with the Elite Amateur Fight League. I know you and Jesse and the guys who are way above my pay grade doing the things that as a play-by-play announcer and interviewer, man, I don't even, I try to learn from you guys like the fans do, but how hard has it been to find a place to potentially do it with all the unknowns? Is it even possible? Is it like, okay, maybe over here's good, maybe over there's good, then all of a sudden some surge is there, and then you try to look at another place and there's another surge and things are shutting down again? Is there even a point to trying right now?
I think with what we're trying to do and how we're going to get it set up, I definitely think there is a point in trying to get this show put together, right, and get us through at least this first round. But it's
I'm
like
sorry,
said,
I'm laughing at you, man, but my kids are older now, so, and I'm still having to snap my fingers at a couple of them, even at 13 and 11, so you got a long time to go.
Yep. But anyway, as I digress, contacting states and then, having them go dark because of pop-ups, Indiana was supposed to have stuff in the beginning of the week. And I kind of wish where that date, July 6th, fell in all of this, I wish it was like maybe a week or so ago before like all the reports from the states were opened up were coming, but like as soon as that happens, Arizona becomes a hotbed. Like I'm assuming Indiana's gonna pull back the reins and say, let's push it off just a little bit longer. And I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
All the states that were looking good became hotbeds.
100%.
Even Vegas, Nevada's like buzzing again. It's becoming a hotbed one more time. So
yeah, there are a couple other states that we've spoken to, but aside from just all of that, the states that were even thinking about letting us do it, the requirements that they were going to have us do, make it practically impossible for anyone that isn't the UFC and doesn't have corporate sponsorship or a TV deal to run the show. So we're looking for an athletic commission that is looking to basically partner with us and understand that like we got to get back to some sort of normalcy, I guess, and running sports, right, and having something. I mean, people are training. I mean, again, Illinois, we opened up. My guys are training, and so it's a matter of where, how, and like what is it going to take. The states that require multiple COVID tests and all that stuff, and isolation, big time. Like
huge.
UFC was renting out an entire hotel in Las Vegas to host a show there. An entire hotel.
I was there. I went to cover it as
that's
media.
Right. That's
we had
right.
to go at 7 a.m, get a test, be quarantined. So they had
one
hotel for their people and the fighters, another hotel for the media. These are Holiday Inn Express type hotels. They're paying big dollars for those hotels, man. And they have a whole medical team in each one on top of it.
And obviously these hotels are pretty much empty because no one's traveling or doing anything right now. But regardless, it's the fact it's the principle of, right, that they're reserving
good for negotiations.
Exactly. Who's gonna, who other than them can do that, so with that, it's tough. But we have a couple leads, and Iowa's one of those. I'm hoping we get some information back from Iowa and they come back and they follow up. Indiana's another possibility where, again, it's really based on what protocols they determine and mandate that you guys have to do this. If it's renting hotels, we're not doing it. We're gonna have to wait, and that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the weather, the atmosphere that we're in right now, right? And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, just like when Masvidal's team was in Vegas getting tested, they had a first fly from Florida to Vegas, get tested there. If they passed that test, they go to Abu Dhabi, but a bunch of them failed there, the coaches, and they had to go back home. So he goes on without him. He somehow didn't have it. Doesn't mean that he's not going to test positive today, tomorrow, Friday, before the fight. So, there's a lot of big ifs right now, and a lot of in the UFC, like we said, Jacare and his one of his cornermen, and a couple of it was a false positive the week that I went. So it's just so inexact, and people don't know. And plus you throw in the fact, Mike, that almost all states, the commission is run by the actual state government. In Arizona, the MMA and boxing commissioner reports directly to the attorney general. So when you're reporting directly to the attorney general, it's going to be on the uber level of careful before anything like an MMA show gets approved.
100%, and that's the thing, like the state decides that they're going to mandate, these crazy protocols. That's it. Like we're stuck. I did talk to a couple of states. I think Tennessee was one of those states where they left it up 100% to like the local counties. They're like, we don't care. As long as the local county says that you can do it, like by all means, go ahead and do it.
Pass the buck.
Literally, and that's all it is. You know, when something happens, they get the point and be like, well, they're the ones at fault for it. So, yeah, you know, it's the struggle. It's the everyday struggle that we get. You know, I'm trading emails with people every day, you know, trying to chase people for phone calls and like plead and beg with them saying, listen, if you do have these, events and you're going to allow them, like, don't make it impossible for anyone except for the UFC.
Yeah, and Jesse and I were talking yesterday, Jesse Nunez, our founder and president, we were talking about when the show might happen, and he's not really all that optimistic that it would even take place this year. Maybe like mid to late fall, but we're already in almost mid-July.
Yeah, summer's
And,
almost over.
you're talking about, and even with the UFC, what they're doing, Masvidal jumps in on 6 days' notice when Gilbert Burns tests positive, and Masvidal should have had the fight anyway, but that's another topic for another show. But
Yeah.
you have to be ready. It's hard to train with gyms closed. Just talking to Ryan Quinn about that yesterday, a top team down in Florida. Guys are training outside. Guys are adapting. It's just it's really a shit show for the fighters right now.
It really is. You know, their entire, you know, way of being, that fighter lifestyle has literally been taken from them right now. It's almost impossible to live that fighter lifestyle in the current environment. You know, the way everything is locked out. They just allowed us to eat in restaurants here in Illinois. So, you know, we can for the first time in months. You know, my kids, we went out 2 weeks ago. We sat out on a patio before they opened and allowed us inside. For the first time, we sat out at a restaurant in like almost 3 months. Insane, just to think about
that.
Like
Chicago, man, the whole city is about food.
Food. Oh, there's good food everywhere, man, and that's the thing. Like, it's crazy. There's really good food everywhere, and we can't. You know, it's all take home and delivery and curbside pickup and contactless drop offs, and it's so weird. It's like I just want to sit down in a restaurant. You know,
I got a steak.
Run around and ruin other people's dinners.
Right? No, and I got a steak takeout a while back. And certain things are good takeout. You can get Italian food, you know, get like some pasta, some lasagna, salads, things like that, good on takeout. And pasta, whatever. Certain things, Chinese food, great for takeout, but not steak and not seafood. No chance.
No chance. You know, I did sushi take home one time, and I was I was like, that's terrible. I was like, I can't do that again. So
right off the styrofoam, get the wasabi.
It's the worst. It's like it's like, this is not the same as sitting down in a restaurant. It's like, I don't know. It tastes way better there, you know, not like it does at home. So.
And Jesse's got the quarantine beard. He's going to be like Tom Hanks in Castaway before the end of this thing. It's crazy.
I got the quarantine weight. That's what I got. You know, like wife's got me doing a ton of like the honey-do list stuff, right, and knocking this stuff out left and right or whatever. And I'm sweating every day, but man, I been telling my sister, the heaviest I've been in like 8 years. You know, it's insane.
It's hard, man. And the mental health is a big element of it. I mean, you train jiu-jitsu, so you know, I mean, there are a lot of people, and I'm not talking about just fighters, pro or amateur. I'm talking about people who train at MMA gyms. And I've interviewed some of them in the past who have, you know, things like PTSD from being in wars and, you know, people who have been through divorces and personal trauma and abuse as children who rely on MMA training. And this is real talk, who rely on MMA training to keep themselves right mentally. And the whole world's going to hell right now because people are cooped up, and then all of a sudden things get inflamed. And when something lights that spark, because we've all been cooped up and because mental health is an issue right now, I believe it makes everything worse. So I wouldn't want to be a governor. I wouldn't even want to be a mayor for a lot of reasons. I would never want to be the president, but I don't envy anyone in a position of authority who has to regulate anything with regard to COVID-19 because it's so unknown. And every time you know, well, not every time, but it goes away a little bit and then it comes back and then you shut it down, your numbers go down, you open back up and it pops back up. And I don't know how long that yo-yo is going to last for us. And, you know, neither do the people who are in charge.
And that's the thing, like, no one knows. And then on top of that, whose information are you supposed to trust right now? You know, there's a bunch of, you know, misinformation out there, and that's the hardest part, you know, and then that makes everyone, like you said, all the government regulators, makes them all like, you know, sketchy and unwilling to pull the trigger because, you know, they're just like, what information do we work out with? It's like, I don't know. It's insane.
Trump's pulling us out of the WHO, the World Health Organization, the media outlets. One's on one side, one's on the other. The politicians the elections are in November. Who do you believe? How about the scientists? That's, you know, if you listen to the actual scientists, that would be a good start.
Yeah, you know, and which is funny because like and at the end of the day, like all these guys go and find scientists and doctors that are willing to, you know, say what they want, right, and make their points valid and stuff like that. So how do you trust them? You know, because I mean, there are doctors that are on both sides. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I know that I'm doing everything I can to stay healthy, and you know, healthy people generally don't die from getting sick. You know, a little flu.
And unhealthy people are at risk of everything. And maybe this will wake some people up in our country, because some people don't give a crap. You eat McDonald's 5 times a week. You don't work out. You smoke a pack and a half. You're drinking 2 energy drinks before breakfast. Odds are a lot of things are going to mess you up worse than they would most people. And unfortunately, man, we have a ton of people in this country who live their lives like that. And that's not me attacking anybody. I'm just hoping that people can take a situation like this and realize that we only get one life. We only get one body. And we need to take care of it as best we can, because, man, like anything could pop up. Pneumonia, the flu, diabetes, heart disease. You know what I mean? They don't stop selling alcohol because someone's an alcoholic. They don't stop selling cigarettes because someone could get lung cancer. But they'll shut down the whole world so someone who's unhealthy can get a virus that might kill them. But they won't take away the things that are making them unhealthy.
That's what doesn't make sense. And I'm with you, you know, like, why not just be like, if you're in this small percentage, you stay home. Everyone else, go back to normal.
Yeah. And wear your mask. I mean, if the scientists are saying wear your mask, wear your damn mask. Come on.
And that's the thing. But and there are scientists on both sides of that saying, wear your mask, don't wear your masks, you know? So again, who and what doctors do you trust? Because at the end of the day, if you gave me 30 seconds, I can Google and find a doctor, certified, board, whatever, on both sides of these, you know, arguments. And that's the whole thing. It's like doctors can't even agree. No one can agree.
Convoluted, man. It's too convoluted. You know, now you have gi and no gi jiu-jitsu. Now you have mask and no mask jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's a new form.
At the end of the, and that's the thing, yeah, man. And all of that stuff. I tell all my students, you guys have the right to make your own, inform your own opinion based on all the information that you gather and see and hear, read, or whatever. And you can choose to train or not. But at the end of the day, like when I train, like I teach class, I told the gym owner, I was like, listen, when I teach class, like I'm not, no mask, none of that stuff. Like I'm not social distancing. I'm not, you know, how do you do jujitsu 6 feet apart from each other?
No chance.
You know, you can't, you know, I get in a Muay Thai and a boxing class, you can just have a bag class and they just hit bags, right? But even still, that's like, to an extent, it's going to get kind of boring and, you know, not what I'm looking for in a workout. And so I told everyone, I said, if you don't want to train, don't come train. But if you want to train, like come and understand we're training like COVID never existed, you know, you stay healthy, you know, listen, use common sense. If you get sick, stay home. Like, you know, listen to symptoms. If you know,
stay home anyway, whether it's COVID time or not, you know,
your gear is dirty, clean it, you know, take showers, wash your hands regularly. Like this all stuff like common sense. If your mom and dad raised you right, if they were there, you were lucky enough to have someone in your life to raise you and, you know, teach you things. This is common sense. You know, this is not
just a couple more for you, Mike. Mike Cimm, Director of Regulations and Government Affairs for the Elite Amateur Fight League. You like the eyebrows? Government Affairs. I like that, right? Exactly. But, dude, okay, 2 things. One, how difficult or much more difficult do you think it will be? You touched on it a little bit earlier, but for a local/regional promotion, and the EAFL is national, but we rely on the regional promoters sometimes, and everybody relies on the local commissions. Mm-hmm. How much tougher will it be for someone like us to do a show than it would be the UFC, minus the fact that they have all the money to do 1 million COVID tests? But how, I mean, there has to be some give for the local and regional promotions, because none of us can do what the UFC does. So they're going to have to give something. The states are going to have to, you know, they can't expect us to do what the UFC does. They can't expect anybody to do what the UFC does except Bellator.
You know, so with how we're approaching our first round of the tournament, right? We're willing to go without an audience. So I think that saves us a lot of like heartache, right? Because if we had to rely on the gate, like, listen, if people aren't coming in this door and we're not selling tickets, like we can't have the show. how 99% of all amateur, mixed martial arts promotions run. We're lucky to be in that 1% where we can do that. So like that saves us, but still, one test costs what, like 100 and change,
and if they say you have to test each fighter 3 times,
yeah. What about your 3 judges, your referee, what about your timekeeper? There's 5 extra tests how many times do you got to test that guy? You know what I mean? Like, so there's all these tests, and at 100 and change a pop, I mean, again, UFC renting out a hotel, what sort of isolation are you supposed to do? Like an amateur, and again, I work with an amateur commission body here in the state of Illinois. We're not going to be able to watch the 10, 15, 20 fighters and, where do you go after we test you? Oh, you got to stay in your hotel.
Like a casino,
post
right?
someone up. Exactly. You're going to post someone up outside.
You can quarantine them in the rooms in a casino. So if you have a casino out there and you want to host the EAFL, right?
There
because I think it'd be easier to quarantine fighters in a casino that has the attached hotel than it would be anywhere else.
Sure, 100%. And that's what it would be. Like you would have to put them in a hotel and keep them there. I mean, you just go take their word for it, or do you actually have someone posted up outside the hallways and each floor and waiting? You know what I mean? So it's like there's going to be a lot into what it's going to take to make sure people follow those rules and isolate so that we can get to fight time and actually have a show.
What about a big tent, like when they have the hurricane disaster relief, like a big tent with all the cots? I mean, I'm just thinking outside the box.
Again, it's just the whole. It's like the duration of everything, right? UFC's doing like a week out or something like that. Yeah. It's crazy, and then you have to, stay isolated for the however many days, and they're going to test you a couple days, or whatever, the day before or at weigh-ins and the day of. And again, EFL, any amateur promotion is not going to be able to do that. So what do we need from a state sanctioning body? Someone to say that, take a more progressive look, saying we don't believe that it's as bad as the doom and gloomers are saying. Fine, it's not nothing as the other side of that spectrum is, in that rebuttal, but it's somewhere in between, and we're willing to ride with you guys and say, sign off, get waivers, whatever, make sure everyone's okay, and take all the temperatures or whatever you can do and go from there.
Nobody sneeze. So, sneezing is banned.
No one's exactly. Masks, everything. I mean, I don't, but I literally went on my way home from work today. I stopped at the store, and the guy walks in, his mask is like down here. Why are you even wearing a mask? Like, it's not even doing anything. You can't fix stupid, and that's the hard part. And I don't know if you've been around amateur MMA before, but
there's a lot of stupid there. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying at all. But
perfect segue. We're kidding, amateur MMA. We love you.
Rhodes Scholars, the ROAD Rhodes Scholars.
But no, man. And last one, in all seriousness, man, I know a lot of people are watching. So if there is anybody out there, and I'm sure there is somewhere, who would be interested in potentially hosting the event at their venue, what would they do, and what would they need to get in touch with you and open those talks?
Give us a call. Reach out to me. I'm very easy to find. But yeah, contact us at the EAFL or email me direct. And it's mcimm34@gmail, right? You're gonna put it down there.
mcimm.
Yeah, 2 M's. Let me know. mcimm34@gmail. Let me know if you have a venue and your state and your local authority is willing to host an event, and we are looking to get in there. Again, talking to Jesse, we have teams lined up, so we just need a venue and a contract to sign to say, here, we can go do it, and we're ready to go.
Man, what about EAFL? Instead of Fight Island, I told Jesse, man, like maybe we have like a fight barge or a fight, you know what I mean? Like like a fight aircraft carrier. I don't know, man.
Exactly. All wavy while guys are fighting. That's funny. That's hilarious.
Oh, man. Well, good stuff, man. Anything else you want to say before we let you go? Anybody else out there you want to say hi to? Anything else you want to let fighters know or anybody know about COVID?
No, train, stay healthy. Listen, I know as little as everyone else, right? And I know as much as no one. So stay healthy, train, be ready. You know, for you Amis, you know, we are the EAFL, right? The Elite Amateur Fight League. We're not looking for the 2-8 guys. You know, we don't want the 1-4 amateurs. We want the guys that are, you know, 6-0, 7-1 that have revenge of that loss, right? These guys that are on the next step to go to the pros, right? That's where we want. That's who we want. So, yeah, you know, come find us, come train, come fight for us.
Man,
You'll
give
love
those
it. I
little guys a
promise.
fist bump for me, Mike. Give them a fist bump for me. Tell them they're good boys. You
I
know
will
they're ready
do,
to tear
man.
the roof off the place, man.
They are. He's got some what is it? It's this is a little hovercraft thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like the Millennium Falcon, kind of, right? If you hold it sideways.
Kind
Lead me to your leader.
of.
Weird. That's the perfect way to end the interview. Mike Cimm, Director of Regulations and Government Affairs for the Elite Amateur Fight League. Team versus team, state versus state, #1 in the world, the only one in America, the Elite Amateur Fight League. Until next time, we will talk to you soon, folks. The Elite Amateur Fight League, the future fights here.